Hello, everyone. My name is Art Russell. Welcome to my channel. I hope you won't mind the informal nature of my videos. I've learned from experience that when I plan them too much ahead of time, the content becomes forced. In other words, art gets in the way. Now, I did make a few notes when the title came to me, Ruminating on Rumi, a couple of hours ago. So I will include some of the content from that. In all fairness, we're not really going to ruminate on Rumi. I'm going to just share one of the quotes from the great Persian poet and Sufi mystic Rumi. And it's one that I found a few years ago, and I actually included it in my book. Here's the quote. Let's let it be the jumping off point for this video. I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God. Now, that may seem puzzling to a lot of persons who are still caught in the web of duality, of subject object experience. Now, this message is going to be repeated in this video, and I'm hoping that you'll allow it to sink in deeply. I don't want to say what the message is, but I'm going to repeat this, make a theme of this. So Rumi stated that he searched for God and found only himself, and then he searched for himself and found only God. What conclusion does that point to you? This must be arrived at. To know this, it has to be experiential. It can't be borrowed from content, material, and books. They can point the way, but the experience is very different. As we know, from someone can talk about riding a bike, you can read about riding a bike, you can look at all the parts, but until you get on that bike and ride, you don't know. That's the same. I'm not saying it's a clever thing to arrive at. No, no, no. It takes absolutely no effort to be what we are. So continuing with this theme, I'd like to share another quote that comes from the Kybalion, which is a book of esoteric teaching from ancient Egypt and Greece, and it's about Hermetic philosophy. And when something is hermetically sealed, we usually think of it as being airtight, secret, or hidden from view in some way. So in the Kybalion, there's the reference made to the all in all. In fact, we use that saying quite naturally. Most beings unaware of its deeper nature will say, all in all, it was a good day, or something like that. This is connected, or another way of expressing the same message that Rumi stated through the quote that I shared earlier. This thematic message is often shared by spiritual teachers who make reference to the ocean and the wave having the same nature. The wave that rises in the ocean is made of ocean. Now, what they're really talking about, and what I'm sharing here too, is when we begin with consciousness as the ocean, we realize that anything that arises in consciousness has to be made of consciousness. Now, this won't seem so bizarre if we realize, let's do comparison again of nighttime dreams. All of the events, all of the persons witnessed, the knowing itself of the content of those dreams is made out of consciousness. Knowing our true nature, actually being it, is much simpler when we begin with consciousness. It's foundational. Instead of the materialistic view in which somehow, and this has not been proven and it never will be, that the body-mind gives rise to consciousness. Now, with this view, unproven, as I say, it's called the hard problem of consciousness, coined by David Chalmers. It's assumed that consciousness arises in the brain, neuronal processes, and this brings a lot of confusion and a lot of fear because from the perspective of persons, if we believe that we, whatever we think we are, began with processes in the brain, then we're pretty darn certain and often afraid, especially with passing years, perhaps, that death then is going to be the end of us. Now, that's not usually a concern in the younger years, but it probably rises to the surface of our consideration, at least as the years go by. I'd like to also share a quote by Jean Klein, who was an awakened being, wrote many books. And a few years ago, I began collecting some quotations that I really liked or found valuable. And this one from Jean Klein I included. It's from Be Who You Are. Be who you are. A wave which loses itself in the ocean does not lose one drop of water. Now, can you feel your ego either shrugging that off or quaking, being afraid? The ego, which is just an idea of who we are, nevertheless does not want to end. This is so bizarre. This is also tied into the saying from Scripture that to find ourselves, we must lose ourselves. The voice of the ego, the mind, can be very loud. I. And part of our error, ignorant error, it's not malicious, is that we take consciousness or awareness to be personal, not personable, personal, generated by the person. Consciousness or awareness is actually impersonal, but when we know ourselves, it feels very intimate. In fact, what could be closer? You don't have to get close to yourself to know yourself. Anyway, I hope that you've found something valuable or of worth in this short video. My aim is certainly not to tell you anything because that's just a whole bunch of yada, yada, yada. But I hope that you'll contemplate some of this content deeply, begin with consciousness. The events, as I say, of nighttime dreams are occurring within consciousness. Could that not be the case right now? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to talking with you again soon. Bye for now.